Hi, my name is Jeremy Crow, and in this video I wanted to discuss the 13th zodiac sign. So this story begins in ancient Babylon, where the Babylonian priests would try and understand how the stars impacted our lives. So they would take detailed records of the movement of the stars, the relationship of the planets to the different stars, and they would try and correlate very significant events to the changing of the various different situations in the sky and see if they could read that. They also identified several different constellations or groupings of stars that had different symbolic meanings. So the actual system of 12 signs of the zodiac comes from ancient Babylon, and they codified this around 3,000 years ago. So what is this 13th zodiac sign that you may have heard about? Well, there are actually 13 constellations of the zodiac, and the Babylonians knew about this. And it's useful to understand the difference between a constellation and a sign. So the constellation is what you actually see. You know, if you go outside, look up into the night sky, and look at the various different stars and identify constellations, those are the constellations. The ones that are part of the zodiac are the ones where if you were to look at the horizon when the sun rises and you were to draw a line, a straight line from you to the sun, and extend that line outward, that line, whatever constellation that that's pointing at, that's supposed to be the sign that the sun is currently in at that point. And if you were born on a day when the sun rose in Capricorn, then they say that you're a Capricorn, or that your sun sign is Capricorn. Now, is it actually? Now, I found out that maybe it's not. If you look at the actual stars on the day that I was born, from where I was born, it actually rose in the sign of Sagittarius. Actually, it didn't rise in the sign of Sagittarius, it rose in the constellation of Sagittarius. The sign is actually this imaginary version of the constellations that the Babylonian priests came up with. You see, they were obsessed with the number 12 through their religious symbology, and they thought, well, wouldn't it be perfect if there were actually 12 signs instead of 13, and if they each had an equal amount of time that the sun was in them. So they created this kind of idealized pie in the sky, if you will. And what it is that's what's come down to us today as our system of astrology, but it doesn't exactly match up. You see, what they did is Scorpio is only about 7 days that the sun rises against the backdrop of the constellation of Scorpio in a year. So what they did is they combined it with what we now call the 13th sign, and that's Ophiuchus, the serpent bearer. And that is actually placed between Scorpio and Sagittarius. The signs aren't equal. So different signs, there's a longer period of time that the sun is in them than others. And now there are some pioneering astrologers who are actually using a system that is based off of the actual observed reality rather than this idealized fantasy version of what's actually out there. And the dates are different, and that includes because the wobble of the axis of the earth. If you may have heard it, some people call it the precession of the equinoxes. Essentially, over tens of thousands of years, this whole arrangement changes a little bit at a time. So from the point of 3,000 years ago to now, it has changed. So the dates have changed, and also we have this 13th constellation. So you can still use an old traditional system, but you should know that it's not actually based off of what is observed in the night sky. It's based off of an idealized version of that, and it's continued on from that point on. Now, some people say that it's based off of the seasons. If you think that it's useful to you, if it's working for you, then why not use it? But for me personally, I support this development of a reality-based astrology, that you can actually look at what's actually out there in the sky. So I hope you'll also check out the blog that I've written that's related to this video, and that's at torchbearertarot.com. And I hope you'll follow the blog so that you'll get each new one in your email. Make a comment, let me know what you think of it, and we can have a conversation about it.